Hello all, it's Ellie and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, please feel free to subscribe and join in for creepy content. For today's video, I'll be talking about Katherine Knight. Now, if for some reason this name doesn't ring a bell, maybe if I put her as Australia's notorious cannibal who skinned her boyfriend, cooked him and then tried to feed him to his own children. This is gonna be a crazy case, so sit down, have a cup of tea and join me for this crazy story. Before I do get into this video, obviously this is a disclaimer that in no way am I trying to offend anyone who's involved in this case or affected by this case. I just enjoy crime cases and I like to make them into videos. My cat has now decided to join me for the rest of this video. Okay, fun. Also, by the way, this is a crazy case, so I have my notes next to me. If you see me looking there, I'm just making sure I get everything right. But, oh, my cat is gonna drop everything. Smudge, come here. Okay, now, a little backstory on Katherine Knight. She was born on the 24th of October, 1955 in New South Wales, Australia. She was the love child of Barbara Rogan and Ken Knight. She had a rather chaotic childhood. Her father was a violent alcoholic and would actually rape her mother like multiple times a day. Katherine was also sexually assaulted by several family members until the age of 11. She was bullied in school and it got so bad that she left at 15. She ended up working in a clothing factory before she found her dream job at a slaughterhouse. This would be her cutting out the internal organs of animals. While working at the butcher shop, she met a man called David Kellett, and he was also an alcoholic like her father. And he was a man with a very short temper and was willing to physically fight over the smallest things. During one drunken fight, David would actually learn that Katherine was willing to also throw a few punches back. It soon wouldn't realise that David was actually kind of being dominated by Katherine. Now, the two of them got married in 1975. During the whole process of the marriage, she was heavily intoxicated and her own mother actually warned David that his daughter had a screw loose and to be careful of her anger. On the night of their wedding, David fell asleep earlier than Katherine wanted, so she decided to strangle David in his sleep. Luckily, he managed to wake up and fight her off. This kind of ended up being brushed under the carpet because the two of them stayed together for 10 more years, even though she already tried to kill him. David ended up starting to cheat on Katherine and it became a common occurrence. When Katherine found out about one of David's affairs, she took their 2-month-old baby and put them on the railway tracks and then threatened several people with a stolen axe. She was diagnosed with postnatal depression and then was sent to a psychiatric hospital. She stayed there for a few months and then actually told nurses while there that when she gets out, she planned on killing her husband's mechanic because from where he fixed his car, he made it possible for David to leave Katherine. So they soon split after that, and then 6 years later, Katherine met a David Saunders. Now, David Saunders was a local miner and he quickly moved in with Katherine and her 2 daughters. But from where it was a quick process, he still had his other apartment. Katherine grew paranoid and she just was super jealous, thinking that he was taking other people back to his other apartment and cheating on her. Their relationship grew toxic and violent really quickly. On one occasion, Katherine actually slit the throat of David's 2-month-old puppy in front of him just to show what she was capable of. They actually ended up having a daughter together and shortly after, she attempted to kill him with a pair of scissors. They split, then she ended up meeting a man called John Chillingworth and they were together for 3 years. They had a son and they would soon split after John found out that Katherine was having an affair with a man called John Price. John and Katherine's relationship actually started off well and John had 2 older children who lived with him and they liked Katherine. But when she suggested marriage, John declined and this kind of triggered something in Katherine and suddenly she started to become violent. She actually went to the extent of framing John for stealing things from his company that he worked for and eventually got him fired. He ended up kicking her out but then a few months later they started to see each other again. But he did actually refuse to let her move back in, and then this is where things start to escalate real quick for Katherine. In February 2000, John and Katherine got into a heated argument where she attempted to stab him in the chest. With this kind of being the final straw for him, he took out a restraining order against her to keep him and his children safe. With tension rising and now a fear against Katherine, John actually went to work and told co-workers that if he goes missing, it's at the hands of Katherine, and to get the police involved straight away. Now sadly, this is where things take a turn for the complete worse. On February the 29th, John came home from work and followed his normal routine of checking in with the neighbours before going to bed at around 11 PM. Katherine came home soon after. She made herself dinner, she watched TV, showered, and then went up to bed. She woke up John, and then they had sex, and then he went back to bed. Now this is where things just get completely crazy. Katherine then took out a butcher's knife that had its place next to her bed and then stabbed John 37 times. Based off the blood evidence, John had woke up and had actually tried to fight her off. He sadly failed, and then Katherine dragged his body downstairs, leaving blood almost like everywhere. She then skinned him and then hung his body from a meat hook that she had hanging up in the living room. She then decapitated him and then cut him into pieces to cook in a dish with potatoes, pumpkin, beets, courgette, cabbage, squash and gravy. Later on, when investigators look through the house for more stuff, they find a plate out in the garden that had some of the stew kind of over the garden, and it was apparently Katherine's plate that she couldn't finish because she had already ate too much. She then laid next to his headless, mutilated body and took a load of pills, passing out. When John didn't show up for his shift the next day, one of his co-workers went to go check on him. After noticing a load of blood on the door, he rang the police department to report John's statement that he said the day before and to get the police to check on what's happened at the house. So police headed over to the house to discover this gruesome scene, and there was a pool of blood approximately 1 meter by 2 meters. There was blood splattered everywhere, and there was blood smears throughout the whole house. Katherine was then detained, and when she woke up she claimed to have no memory of the night before. When the police searched the kitchen, they found John's head boiling in a pot with vegetables on the stove, and there were 2 plates at the table that were labelled with his children's names for them to sit down and enjoy their dad. During Katherine's interrogation, she claims she has no memory of what actually happened, and she still says how she doesn't remember murdering John. She was charged with his murder in 2001, but her trial didn't go that far because she pled guilty to manslaughter, and but this ended up being rejected. Then for some unknown reason, Katherine then changed her plea to guilty. Then the judge adjourned her case without testimony. She was sent to prison that day, and there was actually a note marked on her papers that said never to be released. She's that bad. Anyway, so this would end up going down in Australia's history as the first woman to be given life in prison without parole. To this day, Katherine still maintains her innocence and does not take any responsibility of the murder she committed. She has appealed her sentence and received an almost instant denial. She is still serving her life sentence at the Silverwater Women's Correctional Centre. So this kind of wraps up this twisted case. I just think it's crazy that she's managed to get away with crime for so long and abusing men for so long. But and it's so sad that it ended up getting to the point where someone lost their life over it, and the fact his children, she dished up a plate of food for his children. Obviously there's something very wrong with her, and I hope she's ended up getting the help she needs, but also in that help I hope she realises and takes responsibility for the crime she has committed. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment any other crime cases you'd like me to look at, and follow me on Instagram, subscribe, stay inside with the world in a manic state. But yes, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.